Actually, stuff that. I'm going to do one list for you right now. For those of you that are cool with just watching, I'm going to go dynamic. G'day guys, this is Mupersega on behalf of Mupercorp. Here we are at part 5 of the sexification process. I'm sorry it is a few months late, but let's get cracking anyway. Now moving forward with our spreadsheets, I was thinking, how do I articulate where to take the next step? And it comes down to efficiency in the process, I guess. I want to get from A to B, and the fewer steps that I need to take, the better. So we can do that by adding drop-down lists. We can do it by giving it more visual cues so that our eye, rather than taking those microseconds to look from here to here and then work out what I need to, that it's all kind of guiding you along the process. Because we are never, when we come to something that we are doing over and over and over, we do it a certain way, and we lock that in. It's the system, it's the technique, or whatever you want to call it, but it's done the same way every time. So we can build that in with the power of Excel. So let's get cracking. I've got a little list written down in front of me here, obviously, that you guys can't see. At the top of it, I've got lists, and then I've got conc lists. This is a concatenate list, and then I've also got condi, standing for conditional formatting. I don't know that we're going to get to all three of these things in this video, but what I thought we might have a crack at is the lists. So I'm going to quickly show you what I mean by concatenate lists. I'll bring up my worksheet here. Oh, look, it's the sun. Just while it's loading, look, it's the sun. Look, hey, look at that. Hey, oh, it's all hot. Okay, here we are. I'm going to pop that over here. All right, now, as an example here, I thought we'd quickly come to my job tracker here to give you an idea of what we're heading towards, and teach you how to build it yourself. Okay, so now when I'm entering a new job, if I'm not entering, like sometimes I will have my tools here and I will get my overview and I say, okay, these are the things that I'm not building at the moment. I'm not selling an eros, a rapier, a scimitar, a vagabond or a sacrilege. So I'm going to grab them. I'm going to copy them across. I'm into my tools. I'm going to pop them straight in here, right? Hang on, my bad. I'm going to copy them. I'm going to pop them into my tools. Now, this is a tool that I made just to make it a bit quicker. Now, that already presents me with Galente, Cruiser, Tech 2, Oneros, Mimitar, Cruiser, Tech 2, Rapier, Mimitar, Cruiser, Tech 2, Scimitar, Amar, Cruiser 2, Sacrilege, yeah? So it's kind of backfills that. So if I was to then enter that into the worksheet, into the job track, I would copy that and then I would pop it over into ship manufacture here, and then I would paste that as values, and I would say, okay, we are doing it in March, March. And now those are there ready to go. And now I wouldn't be doing 4 of them. I'd be doing 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 because they are Tech 2 cruisers. So I mean, it's quite an expense if you're at my level. But you're doing 5 of them at a time. Anyway, so there's that way of doing it. But actually, what we want to get to for you guys, before you get to that, the tooling that requires, before you need to build any tools that kind of do that for you to speed it up, even yet again, right? We are going to have lists. We're going to build in lists like this. So I'm going to go boom. It brings up a drop-down list for me. I go March. I'm going to build in a Mar ship. I want it to be a battle cruiser, a Tech 1 battle cruiser, and the list of Amar battle cruisers Tech 1 shows up. A Harbinger, an Oracle, and a Prophecy. I want to build an Oracle. I want to do 20 of them, and the BP per is not important because it's not a Tech. It's not a Tech 2 piece. And I would continue, like you guys have seen, I would fill out the manufacturing job cost on the pre-made element, which would be 0. If I bought anything from Jita, I would log that there, or the price from Ren's, I would log in there. And that would give me kind of a freight cost as well to kind of cover all the couriering that I do from Jita and wherever else. I don't like to move my own stuff. It's much easier to just outsource that. And once I bought things in Jita or whatever, or once I bought things in Rens, it would come up there and it would say Rens has been bought. When I receive it in Odric, I would say yes. Withdrawal request, it doesn't matter. It's still waiting on a withdrawn cost here because I haven't entered anything into the pre-made. 0, Jita, that's all ready to go. So everything is ready to start. Then I say start. I start the job. Once that job is finished, I say finish. And it presents all the particulars of that job out on the side. Now this is an extremely cheap oracle in this instance. It was an oracle. I made 20 of them. Each one only cost me 29 ISK. The total cost was 585. And to make 10% profit, I need to sell each one of these oracles at 35 ISK per. Okay. Now, overshare very much, but I guess in a roundabout way, if you've been watching, you will have seen how these cells light up, right? They're saying, hey, this is where you need to enter the next thing. Once you have entered something in here, go here, enter the next thing, go there, enter the next thing, go there, enter the next thing. Yeah, and I'll spray this time because Caldari, Cruiser, Tech 1, it gives you a list of Tech 1 cruisers in there. How do we get there? Let's get cracking. Alrighty, I'm going to delete all this information that we did for our whatchamacallit, our ruptures. None of that was formulas, so we're pretty safe to get rid of that. Or was BP cost per? Oh, gee. No, BP cost per was not. My apologies. So we're going to the hub buy, going to delete all these. If you've been following along, this will make more sense to you. I'm not sure. Now, this is all out here because it has, we converted it to values, yeah? Now in this instance, I'm going to delete all this. I'm going to get the formula that is below that. I'm going to drag that back up so that once I do finish a job here, it presents something out on the side. But it's not going to because it's looking for an SID number as well. Forget that. And it is not recorded. That's all fine. So now we have a clean database to work with. We've got a little S1 here. All right, so let's get cracking. I'm going to come down the bottom here, a brand new sheet. We're going to call this one lists. So I'm going to double click on sheet 2 or whatever has come up for you. I'm going to call it lists. Now this is where we're going to put all our kind of units and our measurements and our lists and the stuff that will carry through for our entire workbook. Yeah. All right. In here, we are going to put, let me zoom in for you guys. So in our months, so all we're doing here is we're creating a list of potential entries, right? So that when we actually go to enter something into the month column, there is only 12 options for us, right? Or if we live some other planet, maybe we only have 6 months, and we would only put those 6 months in. But it's about making sure that the data that we enter, is controlled, and that regardless of whether Tom, Dick, or Harry is entering that data, they all have only the same options, right? Let's get started. So we're going to go January, February, and the thing is, I think with Excel you can actually probably flash fill these. Yeah. So grab them and drag them down to December. Okay. Now, I'm going to throw so much information at you really quick. We're going to talk about named ranges real quick. A range is a reference to cells, right? And it's giving it a name. So I will call this, like if I wanted to, I could go to formulas here. I could define the name for this group of cells. All right. When you look down here, it says it refers to lists, which is the worksheet, and it refers to absolute reference A1 to A13, right? Confused? A1, A13, and that will never move because they've these dollar symbols, whatever they're called, it makes it an absolute reference. right? And now I want to call this months. So I can do it like that. So now when I go to my name manager, I've got months up there, and it says, and it calls out the values in it. It's got month, January, February, March, April, May, June. Now the thing is that we don't actually want month in there. So now if I actually create the list here, I'm jumping all over the place here, and I'm sorry, I haven't really thought about how to structure this video, but I'm just going to do it on the fly, and hopefully you are wise enough that you can follow along. So I'm going to go back to the month column now that we have named this range to months. I'm going to go here. You're gonna love this. I mean, we all love data validation when we first see it. So I'm going to go to the data tab, data validation. Now I'm going to go to allow any value, whole number, decimal, list. I want to only allow a list to be entered into that cell, and I choose which list is allowed to be entered into that cell. Now we've only got, I think, one named range at the moment, so only one list will appear. So I could either do it like this. If I know what that named range is called, I would say months, because I know that, right? And now you can see that in there I have a list of months with a drop down list. It does have month at the top. I don't want month because month is not obviously a month. So I'm going to delete that. What I'm going to do, another way that you can do this, I'm going to go like this. Let me go back to ship manufacturer. I'm going to clear the data in there first. I'm going to go any value. Now I'm going to do it again for you. Data validation. Another way to do this, you can go press F3. So I've put my cursor down in source. I'm going to press F3. Now this lists all the name ranges that I have created, right? Now I'm going to select months, and it puts it in there for me. And same, I've now got that named range as a potential entry. What happens when I try and enter something else? If I say, well, actually, I want bread to be in that column, it says, no, you can't do that. This value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. So I'm trying to put something in that cell that doesn't match the validation rules that we have set up. Yeah, common sense. So I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to delete June. Now, to fix this thing where they've got months in there, actually what I can do, I can go back to lists, and rather than it being months like this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change that month to months. Now this is a great little tool. So I'm going to go define. I'm going to go back to formulas here at the tab at the top. I'm going to go define, create from selection. Sorry, create from selection, and create names from values in the top row. All right. Replace existing definition of months. Yes. And now I believe it will not actually take months with it. And if it does, then we can work around that as well. So as you can see, it's actually used the header of that column as the name for the named range, right? So you can do this any number of ways. Like, let's go back to an Eve example here, right? We are going to be doing this actually. So let's do it straight away. We're going to go race. Oh my gosh. I'm just really slapping my keyboard there. Race. Too excited. Let's do it. Always go for alphabetical. And if you don't know how the alphabet goes, then Excel does. So you can say maybe Mimitar, Galente, Caldari, and then Amar, like that. Did I just do that completely opposite of... Man, I'm so smart. Now you can actually do it like this. You can say select those cells, and then we go to home, we go to sort and filter, and we go sort A to Z, like that. Continue with current selection, sort. Amar, Caldari, Galente, Mimitar. So we always, when you're doing your lists, always try to get it in alphabetical order, because it will just line up later. You will see when it comes to actually item listing in the game, and it's just handy to always have that as your rule, to come back to alphabetical order. Like even if you were listing a bunch of components, rather than doing it all my thrusters and all my reactor units, do it in alphabetical order. All right, so the next part that we will need is class. Now I haven't set any named ranges here yet, because I'm going to show you what we can do. Class. And this one actually flies in the face of what I just said, right? Don't do this alphabetically, because I like doing it by ship size. Destroyer, cruiser, battle cruiser. What comes next? Is it battleship? Dreadnought. Is that how you spell it? Dreadnought. You know, I'm not going to be manufacturing. We aren't going to be. Well, maybe you will manufacture dreadnoughts. But you can add whatever you want to that, right? Class. Now, what are the potential options for tech, right? You have tech 1, tech 2, tech 3. Yep. So I'm going to go here. Now I'm going to actually make this not a 1 or a 2 or a 3. I want to actually do it Roman numerals. I. Okay, now we're going to name these as, we're going to create the named ranges so that we can bring this information up in a list. Yeah, so that I can say in the class column what kind of ship it is and whatever. Okay, so we're going to do this many at a time. Rather than doing it like this, this would not work. If you select it all like that and then do formulas create from selection, it will not work, because you will have blanks in it. And so what you want to do, you want to select this one, then you say control, select this one, control, select this one. Now you're going to go to formulas. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Create from selection, and we want top row. You know, we want to name this range race. We want to name this range class. We want to name this range tech. Top row. Bada boom. Now if we go to the name manager, you will see these in here. We have a named range that refers to lists D2 to D4. D2, which is that one, to D4 there. And in those, like you can actually see it's stored as an array in this name manager here. I don't know where it's stored, but it's telling me what's in there. I, and then the race is there, and it's referring to these cells. And now you can imagine all the crazy kind of cool stuff that you can do, because in that name manager there, that's a formula. So you can put really cool formulas in here. You could say that actually I want to count how many cells are in that range, and then I want to offset from the top cell that many down, and that's what my range will equal. And when you do stuff like that, you have a dynamic named range. So every time you add a new thing to that column, it expands the range. Really kind of, I mean, mind blown. I'm trying to articulate it. I would have to show you, but I think this is a complex kind of idea, and we can talk about it in another time. Actually, you know, stuff that. I'm going to do one list for you right now, for those of you that are cool with just watching and can take that. Let's do it like this. I'm going to go dynamic. I'm going to call this dynamic, right? And in this list, I'm going to have, bread, sugar, titanium. This is what you need in a cookie, an Eve cookie. So now when I come to this named range, and I'm going to make a dynamic one, this is for those guys that are happy to watch, and just I'm not going to explain what I'm doing here. I'm going to go to find name. I'm going to set the list as that. I'm going to go offset from lists E1. I want it to be 1 down, 0 across. I want it to count how many are in this column. I want it to -1, and I want the width of that column to be like that. All right. So now let's have a look. Name manager. Dynamic equals that. Now let's see if this actually worked. I might have just, you know, if I now go conditional formatting, data validation, any value, list, F3, dynamic, okay. Let's see what comes up. Bread, sugar, titanium, very cool. What else happens? Like, what if I want some oxygen in my cookie? Oh, I can have oxygen. I can have an oxygen cookie. That's so good. All right, guys. So that's a little hint at some of the cool stuff that we can do. Now we are going to deal in static lists, right? We're going to put this in once, and I will teach you how to do it, and I'll teach you how to rename the range. Dynamic ranges are great though. You can have any number of cool things. You could have, I'm leaving it there. I've already talked too much about it. Wasted your time. Let's get going. So now I've got these entries here. Let's go back to ship manufacturer, month, race, class. Now I'm going to select the entire column here. The entire column C, data validation. No, do you want to extend the data validation to these cells? I could, yes, but in this instance, let's do it from scratch. List, F3. We want months. I really should just call it month. Would have been better. Months. Now we have, so what that does, it actually puts data validation in the very top thing as well. Like whatever. So if you went to change that and that value, it would be like, hang on, you can't do that. Month doesn't belong in this column. This doesn't fit in the list that we said we would put in there, right? But we can clear the data validation from that later. So what I'm going to do now, the race, data validation, list, F3, race. Okay, bada boom. Now you can see these are the only things that show up in there. All right, class, data validation, any value, list, F3, class. Okay, bada boom. Brr. Tech, data validation, list, F3, tech. All right. Okay. Now, this gets exciting because, like, some of these are dependent on the one before them. Yeah. So my actual type, if I want a rifter, I can't put in. I don't want to be able to. I don't want to. I want. If I put Mimitar, I put class cruiser. I put Tech 1. I don't want a whole list of Caldari cruisers showing up, right? I don't want to mess up my data just because I haven't spent that little bit of time to build up clean lists. So, I don't know how long this video has gone for. Am I making sense?
Mupecorp out.